Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. I was going to do my jewels on Friday, and once again, the day slipped away. I had a tooth implant last Thursday, and while there wasn't a lot of pain, I'm still having flashes of the noises that I heard, the crunching, the whirring, the drilling in my face. And, while I'm sitting there trying to take my mind off of it and be in sort of a meditative state, because I was not anesthetized, I had the local. I had 3 thoughts that I'll just share with you because they're kind of funny and gives you some insight into my personality. 1, my face is a construction site. 2 is, am I going to set off the metal detector now because I have metal in my body? And 3 is, and I actually don't know the answer to number 2. I'm curious. Number 3 is, my corpse is going to look really cool and may look like a pirate because I've got this big screw in my gum. Yeah. So anyway, I couldn't really get on here to do a video. My face was all whacked out. So here I am on Sunday. I've got two jewels for you today. The first one is, I'm going to say it, and then I'll explain it. Swing for the fences, but hold on loosely. So, this past week actually one of them was after the tooth surgery, I submitted 3 proposals for robust, multifaceted leadership training and development to potential clients, all in excess of 6 figures. And that was a huge thing to do for me. I've done proposals before, but much smaller scale, working one-on-one or even in a group container, but in a much smaller way. And this was big, and I had a lot of trepidation, a lot of nerves. Thankfully, got supported by people who are coaches who are more, have more competence with sales and sales conversations. So I was held in the process and got a lot of thoughtfulness around the language and the proposal and the pieces of it. And I know I will have partnership with the same colleagues of mine when we speak to the prospective clients about the proposal. And I also know that one of the things that has me feeling okay about all of this is that I'm not white knuckling it. I'm excited and I'm curious, but I'm not overly attached to whatever results come from this. It was a win for me to even put it on paper and submit the proposals and feel like I could stand behind the offerings. And whether or not those contracts come to fruition in any way, big or small, it matters, obviously. I care, but I'm not obsessed and I'm not desperate. So 38 Special says it best in their 1981 hit, Hold On Loosely. Hold on loosely, but don't let go. If you cling too tightly, you're gonna lose control. Thank you. Yes. Okay, moving right along to jewel number 2. This one is very much in process for me. And the jewel is that true forgiveness, is an act of self-love. But I will tell you I'm in process around this. So what do I mean? I had a lot of solo time this weekend. It was delicious. My husband has been in New Orleans. My older daughter's in college. My younger daughter is around, but also doesn't want to sit and hang around with mom all the time. So I had a lot of time to myself this weekend. And I relaxed and I was reading, but I also was paying a lot of attention to the news. And in particular, very focused on the release of the 3 hostages. And the images haunt me. I suspect they haunt any Jew. Certainly Israelis, but also any Jew. And anyone who is a student of Holocaust history. These men are emaciated. They look like they've been in a concentration camp. So I will tell you, I feel like reading and learning and hearing and watching triggered this sort of ancestral trauma that I think most Jews can identify with. And I found myself enraged, wanting vengeance, feeling like when people say you're seeing red, I felt like I was seeing red, like deeply sad. And especially with Ellie, who is standing there in front of a terrorist crowd and saying before his release that he wants to see his wife and children while they're laughing because unbeknownst to him, his wife and daughters have been murdered. They were murdered on October 7th, and he didn't know. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching the visceral cruelty and I'm thinking, vengeance. Like, vengeance is what I want. And I noticed the experience that I was having physically. Like, it was depleting. It was draining. I felt like subsumed. I still feel that way a little bit, if I'm being honest, subsumed by it, like just exhausted by it. And not coincidentally, I have been reading more about forgiveness because this is a path that I'm going to be traveling, I know. And I discovered the work of Valerie Kaur, who is a Sikh activist and lawyer who has developed something called the Revolutionary Love Project. And I just bought her book. I haven't read it yet. It's called The Sage Warrior. And I listened to a podcast yesterday with Valerie and Tara Brach, who is a spiritual teacher. And Valerie talks about the process she underwent to forgive the man who murdered her Sikh uncle, a gas station attendant, in the wake of 9/11 in one of the first hate crimes against Sikhs and or Muslims, and how long it took and what she had to do in order to get to the place where she could forgive her uncle's murderer. What became apparent to me in listening to this, and again, I speak that as a student right now, I am in process around these feelings because I am in no way, shape, or form ready to forgive Hamas terrorists. I'm just not. Is that anger and rage can be useful to a point, and they have been for me. I think the rage and anger I have felt has galvanized me, has connected me more to my Judaism, to my identity, has made me see where I can be of service, and I have been of service, and I will continue to be of service through a Jewish lens, and I care very much about that. But there's a point where it stops being useful and it starts eroding your soul. It starts chipping away at your values, carrying around so much hate and anger and frustration and resentment and rage. It's not good for us. It's not good for us mentally, psychologically, physically. And so what I'm really leaning into is this notion that forgiveness really doesn't have a whole lot to do with the person who wronged you or who wronged the person you're speaking about. It's an act of self-love, because when you forgive, you release all of that negative stuff and you relate to that person through a new lens. I'm not suggesting you lock arms and sing Kumbaya, but that's a very different possibility than feeling like you want vengeance. So, true forgiveness is an act of self-love. I am not there yet in this particular case. And it's a path I intend to walk. Happy Sunday. Go Birds.